All right, for more on this, we are being joined by Jonah Blank. He's a journalist, foreign policy expert, and former foreign policy advisor to President Joe Biden, who advised Biden for 9 years on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So let me just begin by asking you, Trump promised a brand new day. And then this is what he said on the pre-inauguration rally. How do you see the first 24-hour of Trump in office playing out?
Well, he's promised to be a dictator on day one, and I think that's one promise he'll try to keep. He's going to have a lot of first-day executive orders that are going to be pretty harmful. We don't know all of them, but there may be pardons for the January 6th insurgents who have been convicted of trying to overthrow the government of the United States at his direction. He's already announced a cabinet, and many of them have had their confirmation hearings already. This is a cabinet of billionaires who are, in most respects, the most unqualified and dangerous cabinet in recent memory. We don't know exactly what he's going to be doing, but we saw what he did with his 4 years in power, and the next 4 years are likely to be even more dangerous.
Absolutely, Mr. Blank, and just to take that point further, in fact, I was just going to come to this. He's promised a lot of day one items that are on his agenda when he takes office. We know that there are a lot of geopolitical as well as domestic issues that loom. Israel-Gaza ceasefire is in effect. Now, when it comes to domestic issues, how do you think Trump will deal with immigration? At the MAGA rally, of course, he said, by the time the sun sets tomorrow, the invasion of our country will have to come to a halt. So what do you think the first 24 hours of him in office are going to look like?
Well, most of the things that Trump says are lies. We know that. So there certainly will be nothing of the magnitude that he's suggesting about immigration from day one. It's simply a logistical impossibility. But he probably is going to start rounding up immigrants. Presumably, he'll start with undocumented ones. And we're going to see over the next 4 years, immigrant communities, both documented and undocumented, subjected to the same type of really inhuman treatment that we saw before, with children, small children, put in cages and separated from their parents. We saw that. That's what he did before. Now it's going to be even more, even more cruel and inhuman.
Right, and talking about that, now President Joe Biden, on his last full day as U.S. president, he urged Americans to keep the faith in a better day to come. This is what he said in his speech. Now, how are the Democrats looking at the inauguration day and looking forward?
Well, some of them are staying home, and at the popular level, at the level of the actual mass of the people, we're seeing a lot more people just taking a step back. If you remember, back in Donald Trump's first inauguration was the site of one of the largest protests in U.S. history. It was called the Women's March, but both men and women showed up. I was there myself with my 2 sons, protesting against what we feared would be a terrible reign by Donald Trump. And that's how it played out. This year, there's no protest on even close to that level because most people are simply saying, we can't do this anymore by just going out and protesting. We have to take a step back and try to have a resistance for the longer term.
Right, Mr. Blank, just coming back to a point that you'd made earlier, and this is in fact something that we've been discussing as well. Trump has also promised that he will end the Russia-Ukraine war again within 24 hours. So that being said, when we talk of logistical challenges, do you think this is again just one of his big campaign promises? Are we going to see any headway in that as well?
Well, that, of course, is another lie. He's certainly not going to do anything in the first 24 hours. The bigger danger, though, is that he plans to bring about an end to this campaign simply by forcing Ukraine to surrender to invasion by Vladimir Putin. The Ukrainian people have made clear for the past, now it's almost 3 years, actually even much longer if you take the start point be from the invasion of Crimea, that they are not willing to accept invasion by a more powerful neighbor. And their fight has been enabled by the entire world community. This has really been a battle for democracy and for freedom. And Trump is made very clear he's going to cut that off and just force the Ukrainians to accept whatever Vladimir Putin gives them.
Absolutely. Now, these international issues, domestic issues, of course, we're going to be looking at how it all plays out starting on the inauguration day. But thank you so much, Mr. Jonah Blank, for joining us and giving your perspective on the story.
Thank you so much for having me.